Whew. Damn, baby, I tell you, it's hot out there. 103 degrees in the shade, and it ain't even August yet. Yay! Looky there. Oh my God. You made it. Where's everybody at? Oh, no. Oh, went to the store. Hope you're happy. I'm damn happy. Jesus. Oh, baby, come pet my cat. Would you look at that pretty bitch? Holy cow. Oh, yes. Oh. Oh, man. I don't think this has ever been shot. Springfield Armory. 2,255,000. That's late November, 1943. The World War II veteran, by goddamn, I'll tell you what. Okay, I gotta get the greasing and cosmoline out of you, because it's time to make some noise. 1943 style. Whew. Ain't even 8 o'clock and it's already damn near too hot to play. Thank God for the shade, right? Welcome back to the range, folks. Somewhere down range. I'm your host, Brad, and today, oh man, I tell you what, I have had a decades-long love affair with General George S. Patton's favorite battle implement. Rifle, U.S. caliber 30, M1 Garand. 1943, World War II. Gee, pretty. Now, obviously, the stock is new manufacturer, CMP style, from 2017, but the receiver, the bolt, the barrel, the gas system, the sights are T105s. Just about all of them you find from CMP are going to have that. Everything Springfield Armory except for the trigger group housing, and that's Harrington Richardson, and that's something that happens quite a bit. I am not one of those M1 Garand snobs that wants everything to be the same manufacturer from the same timeline, so it's all correct, because I don't have $5,000 to spend on a gun I'm going to dirty up. Ah, man, I love these little girls. Now, we're out here for initial sight-in, and we're set up at 50 yards. Some people on videos tell you, oh, you start at 25, and then you go back to 50, and then you go back to 100, and then you give yourself a 200-yard sight-in. And you burn up an assload of ammo trying to get pinpoint, point of impact, point of aim cohesion. And unless you've got sights that are designed to do that, you're really just burning a bunch of damn money for no good reason. This is a battle rifle, and these are battle sights for a battle rifle. And to try to get that point of impact, point of aim same is almost near to impossible, because you can run this sight down all the way to bottom dead, all the way to the bottom, and you're still going to be high where you're aiming. There's a reason for that. This rifle is designed to come out of the can, go together, get all the cosmoline out of it, throw it in the hands of the individual soldier, send him out to the little short range at 25 yards, have him give himself a battle sight 0, put him on a truck, and send his ass to the fucking Ardennes, or the Bulge, or the Pacific. All over the world this rifle's been. So, what I have found to be what works best for me, and is very economical ammo-wise, is instead of trying to go through all that bullshit, I have found it to be the case over and over again. I set up at 50 yards. I set the sights so that I'm hitting 2.5, 2 3/4 inches high of my point of aim at 50 yards. And I have a battle sight 0 that's good enough to engage man-sized targets from 50 yards to 300 without ever worrying about touching my elevation ring. And there's a reason for that. Yeah, it's got graduations on it. Yeah, it's got a little hash mark, and you can set your 200-yard 0 and get all that ready, and then you can play with it. But that's not really what it's designed to do. I mean, it's designed to do it, but that's That's a hell of a lot of work, and if you got a bunch of Russian enemy soldiers coming at you at different yardages, you don't have time to be looking for the hash marks on this site and trying to figure out, okay, that Jap is that far away, or that Jerry's that far away, or that fucking demon, or whatever the fuck you think you're shooting at. You can set this for a battle site 0, and you do it just by starting out at the bottom and bringing that sight up. Now, of the 4 previous M1 Garands I've owned, I've found on average that anywhere between 5 and 6 clicks up is going to give me that sight picture that I want. Now, as far as windage, when you're familiar with these, you know there's left and right movement available here on the windage knob. Now, that's all fine, well, and good, and there's like 16 inches worth on either side of the center line, left and right, but that's a kind of a pain if things aren't in absolute alignment. Some people like to say, I want my sights at mechanical center and then I'll adjust from back here. Why? You can start with your sights at mechanical center and adjust the front sight for left and right until you've got it where you want it, and as long as the full base of the sight is still sitting on its mounting base, it'll never leave. It'll always be there. You get it good and tight. That way you save available windage clicks left and right here, so you have more available to you if you need it. I saw a video a couple of weeks back. Guy wanted the sights on mechanical center and he's making his adjustments here, and he ate up down near 12 inches, probably 10 inches of available adjustment distance. Like, why would you do that? So anyway, you probably can't see it from the angle, but my sight, the bottom of the sight that moves is flush with the right side of its sight base. Now you say, Brad, why'd you do that? Because I don't give a shit about mechanical center, but it has been my experience over the years that every M1 Garand I ever owned, that's where that front sight wound up when I utilized it to make my initial right and left adjustments. And I always had absolute almost center line correlation back here, and that leaves all the adjustment available on both sides for me, and that's how I want it to run. Okay, so enough about that. We've got that in place. We've got a target down there at 50 yards. I've taken a splatter shot target, cut it in half. The bottom straight line edge is going to be where my aim point is on center for that target. And that way the flat top of that sight can come right up to that flat edge and meld in and stop, and I know I'm at the bottom of it. Those targets are 6 inches. They're a little big for trying to leave the full target there and then get that little post right up on the bottom edge of it and keep it there. It's easier to use flat bottom edge. And actually, U.S. military Garand target, that's how it, and A3 Springfields, that's how they were. So without further ado, let's spin that camera angle around, and we're going to take us a couple of shots, probably 2 or 3 on that target. Now, we're at the very bottom for elevation, and as I said, it's been my experience that 5 to 7 clicks up is a great starting point for conserving ammo. If this weapon does like the other ones, that's probably where it's going to be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to start at 5. This is almost 2,800 foot per second. This is, I don't have the box with me, but it's cellar below, and it's made for M1 Garand use. Green box, says tactical ammo right on the top of it. And it's running by their published data about 2750. So it's a little hotter than what the old M2 ball original stuff was at times. Now, it's S&B. I don't know that it's going to have really consistent loading, accuracy. Hopefully it does, but we'll find out. So stand by. Let's change that angle and let's make a little noise. Oh, I love that sound. That's the sound of freedom and liberation. Let's check timing. All right, you'll notice that this thing did not slam my thumb into the breech. There's a reason for that. It's called timing, and this weapon has excellent timing. Alright, you wascally garments, or side panners. Got you where I want you. Here and protect you. Protection because there's steel down there. Alright, let's dump a few in it. She's a shooting. Alright. I've got rounds impacting on just the right edge and just the left edge of the center line for left and right, and I'm about, on average, about 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. 2 inches on the high one, inch or so on the low one. Alright, let's bring her up. Alright, let's see, it's 50 yards, so that's 1/2 inch a click. That should be 6. Let's see what kind of change we get now. Love the sound of these old war horses. Alright, so I'm trending just a little right of center, and I'm hitting a little higher. It's about where I want to be. So I'm going to give it 1 click left. That's a 1/2 inch. See what I said about economy of ammo? I'm starting out in a really good spot. Let's just make that 1/2 inch, or should we make it a full inch? Let's make it a full inch. So 2 clicks into the left. Alright. Here's the part y'all been waiting for. Alright, let's go look at that target. Alrighty then. When I was starting out, my impacts were in this area and at this altitude. My last 2 shots after adjustment were right here. That's gonna be just above 2 1/4 inches. This is the center. I could make 1 more adjustment, 1 more click left, and I am set for where I need to be. Alrighty, stand by. Whew. Man, it's already getting hot out here. There's just enough breeze and just enough shade that I ain't in too bad a shape. But let me tell you what, it gets hot, I get the hell inside. So I've got my 50-yard zero for my battle sight zero. Now, like I said, those bullets are impacting 2.5, maybe just a little higher of my point of aim, but that's okay because I ain't shooting coyotes with this son of a bitch. I ain't shooting pigs with it, but I could. But as a battle sight zero right now, you got to shoot at the enemy. Just aim for his solar plexus. You'll take his heart out. Now, if these sights and this load does what I think they're going to do, when we step back to 100, or drive back to 100, when I start shooting at that same style target, my rounds should be impacting even higher. You see, really, Brad, don't you mean lower? No, they should be higher. Right now, the way this sight alignment is in its relationship to the bore, if I wanted a rifle to be shooting dead on at 100 with this basic cartridge with a scope, and I was sighting in at 50 yards, I'd have that bullet a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch below my point of aim, and with a scope, and at 100 yards it'd be dead on, or might be a little bit higher, but that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for a battle sight zero. So you can see I used one 8-round E-block, and I've got my sights where I want them without a bunch of fiddle farting around burning up a wallet full of goddamn green on ammunition that is expensive unless you load, which I do, thank God, but I'm burning factory today. So we're going to step back to 100 yards, and more than likely my rounds will be impacting higher, but that's okay, because a battle sight zero, that's how it should be happening. Because right now you can start out in the fray, people at 50 meters, and you just put it on their solar plexus, take their heart out. At 100 meters, you'll be able to aim at their belt buckle and take their solar plexus out. At 200, you'll be able to aim at their solar plexus and take them out in the solar plexus. And at 300, you'll be able to aim at their heart and hit their solar plexus. And at 400, if you'll put the head on top of the pip, you'll hit them in the chest, if your rifle's got good enough windage. Now, we're also on that 100-yard point going to determine what size group we're getting. The standard for the rifle, US, Cal 30, M1 Garand, US Ordnance standard is shooting a group, I think 3 1/4 or 3 inches at 100 yards. And you say, whew, damn, that's a group, that's a big group. Yes, but that's battle standard for this given implement. So, as long as we're getting that kind of grouping and we're getting rounds high, and when I say high, I mean 7-8 inches high at 100 yards. Like I said, you're not looking for point of aim, point of impact correlation on little furry critters. It's a man killer. And a man is a long-standing target with a long torso with plenty of room to aim at. And that's exactly what this sight system is designed to do. So, starting to get too hot, I'm going to go in the house, and I'll be back out when it starts to cool off, because the shade's going to be running out here in about 15 minutes. And back there at the 100-yard line, the shade's already gone. And I'm not sitting in the sun. So, stand by. I'll be right back with you, and when I am, I will probably be dressed in different clothing, and I more than likely will be in the shade. But if I'm not, at least it'll be late enough that it won't be superheating my ass. So, see you in an instant. All right. Now let's check out the 100-yard battle sight zero. We've got the 50-yard battle sight zero, and we're about 2 3/4, 2 7/8 inches high from the point of aim, and that's really where I want this battle sight zero to be. Now, the sight, the rear sight elevation, is 5 clicks up. Normally I find somewhere between 5 and 7 with the former 4 M1 Garands I've owned, that's usually where it winds up. So we've got it set at the 50. Now we're back at 100. We've got a half of a splatter shot target set on there. My aim point is going to be that straight bottom edge of it. And if I do my part, that splatter shot target should essentially, for the most part, disappear. So it's been hot. That's why I had to wait until later today to do it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and put one down there and see what happens, shall we? Let me adjust the camera. Stand by. That target gonna be that white steel silhouette hanging there on them chains. I don't know if you can see it from this distance, but you see that dark spot on there? Yeah, that's my target. Let's see if it disappears. One well-placed shot. What do you say? Let's go check out that group. Alrighty then. So now this is something you have to test with M1 Garands. And the reason is different ammunition, different velocities, different idiosyncrasies in the gun itself. Now I had really nice 2 3/4 inch height above point of aim at 50 yards. And that should have really, to most figuring, put me about the same place at 100, maybe a little higher. You expect that. Now, this is the group, and that's 6 rounds on steel here, and there's a chip right here. That shot that went past the target, we thought went past the target, actually went through this hanger hole. There's the chip right there. So, I've got a group up here, this high above my point of aim. You say, well, damn it, 100 yards, that's awful high, Brad. Yeah, it is. But you have to remember, this is a battle sight 0. It's not a precision pinpoint 0. This is the center of the group, more or less, at 100 yards. At 200 yards, the group's going to shift here. At 250, it's going to be just about right on. And at 350, you're still going to be hitting in the midsection. It's a battle sight 0. Any bad guy from 50 yards, 25, 50 yards, all the way out to 300 or 400, you're going to get a hit in a vital area. That's why you test this shit. Now, I could try to drop that sight down a little bit, but then I screw up the rest of my sight picture, so I don't want to do that. That's really just about right for what I want. Awesome. Let's talk about something else, but still dealing with M1 Garands. All right, General Patton was right. State of the art for 1943, the greatest battle implement ever devised. I love these son bitches. And you say, well, how wide is that group? At 100 yards, I've got about a 3 1/4 inch spread on the widest point. And you know what? That's absolutely within standards for an M1 Garand battle rifle at 100 yards. You want to make a pinpoint precision unit out of one of these, you got to put new pieces on them. You got to put precision barrels and other things. That is absolutely 100% U.S. Army standard acceptable. I'll take it all day long. Now, a lot of people say they're going to show you tricks involving the M1 Garand. I watched a lot of those videos, and all those tricks are just standard operating procedure. But there's one trick that's part of standard operating procedure I never see anybody do. Weapon is empty. All right, safety's off, weapon's empty, trigger is pulled. Okay, now let's say you're engaged, and for some reason, you know you got rounds in there. Maybe you got a round that's got a hard primer. Maybe your bolt wasn't closed all the way, and it couldn't strike. And you don't want to go through the hassle of opening the action, maybe ejecting a round, maybe losing other rounds. You want to try that primer one more time. Well, you say, Brad, how the hell do you do that? You've got to rack that action and cock that hammer. No, you do not. Now, like I said, I hear a lot of videos about people showing you tricks, but I've never seen anybody do this. You want to cock that weapon again without operating that handle? It's real simple. Thumb over the breech and the action area, fingers across the floor plate so it don't fall out. And hold it up here and get the mic close so you can hear it. Grab your trigger guard, pull it back like you're going to take that piece out, but hold it in and take it all the way out till it stops. Did you hear that? Guess what that is? That is a cocked hammer. There's a fucking trick. All right. I know it's a weird way to open an ending scene. You'll understand why in a moment. It'll all be clear. What we're looking at is the milled style trigger guard that was in use in 1943 on the M1 Garand, and that hole at the rear of it is for emplacement of a winter trigger device, which allowed the rifle to be fired without having to expose your hands to extreme cold by removing the military issue mitten that did not have fingers. But stand by and we'll go all Paul Harvey on this shit, and then you can get the rest of the story. Hey, welcome back, friends and neighbors. So, that's my attempted sweet little short sojourn into the newest acquisition to the Armory. I love these bad boys. Now, that little scene just before right now, there's a reason for that, and here's the rest of the story. A couple of days back, I put out a little short M1 Garand trick about how you can recock the hammer without actuating the operating rod by swinging out the trigger guard all the way out, cocking it and putting it back. And then yesterday, what was this guy's name? Don't you just love the way people throw facts out without even knowing what the hell they're talking about? Nova _ Kit 2025 left a comment on that little short video, on the trick video. Quote, "It works for the stamped trigger guard, but not with the milled trigger guard." Unquote. I beg to differ, Nova Kit. This is what just irks the shit out of me on a regular basis, is when people who spend their entire lifetime actually down the rabbit hole, engulfed by the digital fantasyland world of gaming. And if you look at his YouTube page, you'll see why I say that. Yes, Nova Kit, it does in fact work with both style trigger guards. Why in the living blue shit Would it not work with one? They designed the rifle, it's the same thing. But obviously, he doesn't know jack shit about M1 Garand, but just to prove it, okay? You've seen the trigger guard, you know, and I get so tired of this whole shit, having to deal with people. He's got a couple dozen videos, and they're all video games. So, okay, milled trigger guard. Empty weapon. Safety off. Pull the trigger. Hammers down. Jesus Christ on a crutch. I can't believe I go through this shit sometimes. All the way up. You hear it click. Back in and lock. Guess what? It fucking works. So get back in your grandma's basement, get some more Kool-Aid and pizza rolls, and get lost in Fortnite for the rest of your fucking life. But until you decide to start paying attention to what you do and what other people are doing, and actually looking for facts and not mythology, leave the adults alone. For God's sakes, just leave us alone. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. I had a lot of fun with her. She's a good shooter. She's within standard. She does a fine job, and I think she's going to have a really nice, long life right there in my safe. So, hope you folks enjoyed it. Hope to see you soon. And please, for God's sakes, if you know anybody that's addicted to the passage and the sharing of erroneous, completely untruthful factoids, have an intervention, please, for God's sakes. They need your help. You guys be good. I'll be seeing you real soon somewhere. Downrange. Bye.